Money made, money made, money made all day. You know, right here, a light million. Over there, counting up another million over there. Walk with me, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take you into my life.
Look at Floyd. Like, Floyd spends money like it's a tap. Like, he's got a tap. Just like unlimited amount of money. Money's just flowing. You're a champion. You make as much money as you possibly can. You retire, and then there's no more money. And Floyd's like, let me just box some people that have zero chance.
Floyd Mayweather has come out swinging against Joe Rogan's take on his finances. And the evidence he reportedly posted has completely shaken up the broke Floyd storyline. According to people close to the situation, Floyd was furious after Rogan's comments started spreading across combat sports media like wildfire. The claim making the rounds was that Money Mayweather had somehow burned through more than $1 billion. But insiders say Floyd decided he was done letting that narrative grow unchecked. Instead of staying quiet, he allegedly fired back with numbers, rankings, and earnings records meant to prove that Rogan had the story completely backwards and that the public had been fed a version of events that didn't match reality.
And it's like, and then he's got to come out of retirement.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. I think it's just the lifestyle that Floyd lived.
Yes.
I think he can't fathom to just live a modest lifestyle. It's like he gotta be lavish.
Right.
The controversy reportedly exploded after one of Rogan's podcast conversations turned toward Floyd's decision to fight 3 times in 2026. According to people who heard the episode, Rogan suggested that Mayweather's comeback schedule wasn't about legacy, competition, or entertainment at all. It was about money pressure. Insiders say Rogan told his audience that Floyd lives like cash never stops flowing, spends like the faucet can never be turned off, and may now be forced back into the ring because lawsuits, debt talk, and unpaid obligations are piling up behind the scenes. Within hours, those remarks had reportedly spread everywhere, clipped, reposted, and debated across every major social platform.
You have that money, the trappings of wealth, you know, competing with all this other, getting your own private jet, all that stuff. It's like, ugh.
I learned from him because the people with the real wealth, you don't know they got the wealth.
Right.
Once those clips started circulating, Floyd's camp allegedly moved fast. People familiar with the situation claim his longtime business partner Leonard Ellerby and others around him began pulling together financial records, earnings numbers, and public documentation to directly challenge the narrative. The idea, according to those reports, was simple. If the internet wanted to treat Rogan's opinion like fact, then Floyd would answer with figures and receipts strong enough to flip the conversation on its head. Instead of letting rumor beat him in public, he was reportedly preparing a full counterpunch.
Oscar, you said you've not liked him for a number of years, and I'm like, what is it about him that sort of rubs you?
He's always been jealous of Floyd. He's always been jealous of Floyd, and if that ain't obvious, I don't know what it is.
Sources say Floyd was especially angry because the "he lost $1 billion" story was being repeated as if it had already been proven. According to people close to him, Floyd felt the whole discussion had crossed the line from criticism into fantasy. The reports claim he said Rogan had no real understanding of his money, his assets, or his business dealings, and that he was ready to correct the record in public. In Floyd's view, this wasn't just social media noise anymore. It was an attack on the image and financial identity he spent decades building.
Flawless or pristine, those flawless or pristine, they would tell you I was the first one wearing the Patek Philippe. And, you know, I was the first one with the. I got this over 10 years ago.
The Instagram response Floyd allegedly posted was said to be packed with screenshots, figures, and proof-style material designed to stop the speculation cold. Witnesses and online observers described it as one of his most direct financial clapbacks in years. Rather than using only flexes, slogans, or stacks of cash, the post reportedly leaned into numbers and rankings, the kind of content meant to say, "I'm not arguing with feelings, I'm showing you the math." That alone is what made people pay attention, because it sounded less like performance and more like a deliberate rebuttal. According to those reports, Floyd highlighted his Sportico placement as the 6th highest earning athlete of all time. with inflation-adjusted career earnings estimated at roughly $1.2 billion. And Floyd's core argument, at least according to the people discussing the post, was this: that number represents money earned, not money lost. He reportedly pushed back hard on the idea that over $1 billion had simply disappeared. The post was also said to include references to some of his biggest fight paydays, around $300 million from the Manny Pacquiao fight in 2015, roughly $275 million from the Conor McGregor spectacle in 2017, plus major earnings from other blockbuster fights that helped define his career as one of the richest in sports history.
Crazy, the laugh faces. Although Floyd Mayweather Jr. made hundreds of millions of dollars from his professional boxing career and topped the Forbes list as the highest paid athlete from 2012 to 2014, the boxer is said to have been shortchanged and filed a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against Showtime. The lawsuit filed Tuesday, and obtained by ESPN seeks to recover hundreds of millions of dollars, misappropriated funds, and damages resulting from a long-running and elaborate scheme of financial...
After addressing the lost $1 billion narrative, Floyd reportedly turned his attention to the legal issues Rogan had mentioned. Rather than avoiding the lawsuit conversation, insiders say he leaned into it, claiming the public had completely misunderstood who actually owed whom. That part of the response got attention quickly, because it suggested Floyd wasn't under legal pressure for money in the way critics were framing it. Instead, he was reportedly presenting himself as the one trying to recover money he says should have been his in the first place.
Pay-per-view money, a significant portion of the funds that he made through those events, through his fights, didn't make it into his hands because they were funneled through accounts controlled by his then advisor, Al Heyman. Now, Mayweather says that Showtime delivered those checks and funds through systems that helped Heyman get the money instead of paying Floyd directly.
According to people familiar with his side of the story, Floyd clarified that he had filed a lawsuit worth approximately $340 million against Showtime and Al Heyman over money he says is owed to him. In other words, his position was not that creditors were chasing him, but that he was the party seeking massive financial recovery. That distinction became central to the whole debate, because if true, it completely flips Rogan's claim of desperation into a claim of dispute over unpaid earnings.
I think 9 years, probably something like it. It could have been 7 years. I don't know. And I went to his turn.
Reports also suggest Floyd's legal team backed that position with documents alleging that purse money and related payments were diverted into accounts he never approved. Sources say Floyd's side believes large sums were mishandled or withheld, and that the litigation is based on detailed financial records rather than vague accusations. According to those close to the matter, Floyd's message was basically this: Joe Rogan has it upside down. People owe Floyd hundreds of millions, not the other way around. That line reportedly became one of the biggest talking points once the rebuttal started spreading.
These guys with him. None of them.
Is it sad to see sort of the way things are going between him and Floyd? I don't know how much you can touch on that, over social media. I know there's a lot of promoting. Can you say anything about that? Or?
Leonard Ellerby also reportedly jumped into the argument publicly, defending Floyd's financial strength online. Sources claim he posted a detailed thread breaking down Floyd's career income, business moves, and overall financial position in an effort to show that the collapse narrative was wildly exaggerated. Ellerby's role mattered because he's been tied to Floyd's business operations for years, so when he speaks on numbers, many fans treat it differently than random internet speculation. His defense helped shift the story from memes and jokes into a more serious debate about documented earnings versus public assumptions.
$500 million in real estate deals in just about 6 months. And you have invested in real estate before, but tell us, why was now the time to go big?
For years, I've invested in real estate, mainly in commercial.
In that same defense, Ellerby reportedly pointed to Floyd's real estate holdings, his custom-built Las Vegas estate, properties in Los Angeles, and commercial investments tied to other markets. Sources say he also addressed the Manhattan penthouse issue that critics brought up, arguing it was not some giant unpaid rent scandal but a relatively minor dispute over damages tied to a lease. According to those reports, the amount in question was said to be below $100,000, not anywhere near the massive figures some online posts were implying. That clarification, if accurate, would make a huge difference in how the public views the situation.
Yeah.
Bugattis are like $3 million. There's watches that are $3-5 million. That's crazy. So you buy a watch and a car, you're down 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
Crazy.
Trying to get money, a whopping $340 million. He's suing you supposedly. Have you gotten the paperwork for that? What's the latest on that?
I have not seen the paperwork. and I've been in touch with attorneys. Obviously, I've seen the reports, I've seen the descriptions, and as usual, the attorneys don't want me out there publicly saying it. So I can't talk about the specifics of that.
One person who reportedly did not join the social media fight was Steven Espinoza, who was named in Floyd's lawsuit. According to insiders, Espinoza chose not to make public comments about the online back and forth while the legal process remains active. That silence drew attention of its own, because in boxing, people often read silence as strategy. Rather than fueling the internet war, it appears his side may have decided that the courtroom, not Instagram or X, is where those claims will eventually be answered.
I was going to say, you guys worked together for such a long time. I'm guessing there was like a relationship there, maybe a friendship. Are you a little disappointed about it?
I'm definitely disappointed and surprised. I haven't talked to him about it. I'm not sure exactly where it's coming from, but it's a mystery in a lot of ways.
Al Haymon's side eventually pushed back through its lawyers, rejecting Floyd's accusations of fraud and insisting that every payment and transaction had been properly recorded and approved either by Mayweather himself or by people acting on his behalf. But Floyd's attorneys reportedly answered with emails, messages, and internal communication showing that he had repeatedly questioned where certain payments were going and had never been given clear explanations. People familiar with the case say the discovery phase could end up exposing exactly how some of boxing's biggest money deals are really structured behind closed doors. Joe Rogan, at least initially, did not directly fire back at Floyd's social media response. According to sources, Rogan's camp chose to let the noise settle before addressing it on the podcast. But as the story kept spreading, boxing analysts began checking Rogan's original comments against the available facts and found several problems with how the situation had been framed. Media figures pointed out that Rogan seemed to blur the line between Floyd being involved in lawsuits and Floyd actually being broke, when those are not remotely the same thing. People close to the story claim Rogan's opinion was built more on headlines and chatter than on any serious financial documentation. Teddy Atlas then stepped into the conversation on his own podcast and offered a more balanced take on the entire Mayweather versus Rogan debate. Reports suggest Atlas said both men had a point in different ways. Floyd absolutely earned more than $1 billion throughout his career, but he also lives at a level that burns cash at an extraordinary rate. Atlas reportedly mentioned the exotic car collection, valued at over $30 million, along with private jet costs and the massive yearly expense of maintaining Floyd's entourage and overall lifestyle. According to those who heard the segment, Atlas said the real issue is not whether Floyd is broke, but whether he has enough accessible liquid money to keep funding that kind of life without continuing to fight. The three-fight plan for 2026 then became the center of the motivation debate. Insiders say Floyd's team presented the Mike Tyson exhibition in May, the Mike Zambides event in June, and the Manny Pacquiao rematch in September as smart business plays rather than signs of panic. Through his representatives, Floyd reportedly said major platforms like Netflix and other broadcasters are offering enormous guarantees simply because his name still pulls numbers that few, if any, others in boxing can match. Sources claim that the guaranteed money alone for the Pacquiao rematch is rumored to be well above $100 million even before pay-per-view revenue is added. Dana White then surprisingly sided with Floyd in the middle of the controversy. Reports suggest White posted online saying fighters should not be attacked for making intelligent business decisions and maximizing their earning years. He reportedly credited Floyd with changing the way fighters negotiate and get paid, arguing that returning at 49 to make another massive check is not desperation at all, it's smart business. According to insiders, White even said, "Joe Rogan is my guy, but he missed on this one. Floyd isn't broke. He's still making money at a level no boxer has ever touched." Another talking point that got dragged back into the story was Floyd's old IRS situation, but his accountants reportedly stepped in to clarify that as well. Sources claim his financial team said the tax extension he once requested was standard procedure for high-net-worth individuals dealing with complicated international income streams. The extension was approved, the taxes were later paid in full along with penalties, and Floyd's advisors insist his current tax standing is completely clean. Insiders say using those old tax headlines as proof of present-day financial collapse is misleading and deliberately harmful to his image. Veteran boxing analyst Dan Rafael also broke down the numbers behind Floyd's 2026 schedule. Reports suggest Rafael calculated that even with average performance from a viewership standpoint, Floyd is still on track to make at least $200 million from those three events alone. Rafael pointed to the Logan Paul exhibition as an example, saying Floyd reportedly took home more than $50 million from an unsanctioned event against a YouTuber. According to sources, Rafael said the broke Floyd narrative simply doesn't hold up when his purses are still several times larger than what current world champions are making. Manny Pacquiao's promoter, Jazz Mather, also addressed the question of motivation in an interview. Insiders claim Mather said both Floyd and Manny are generating true generational wealth from their September rematch, but neither one of them is stepping into the ring because they need the money just to survive. Mather reportedly pointed out that Manny has his own political background and business ventures in the Philippines, while Floyd has a promotional company and multiple other income streams. According to sources, he explained that the rematch is happening because the public demand is there and because Netflix is willing to pay extraordinary guarantees to make it happen. As the Showtime lawsuit moved deeper into discovery, more interesting purse-related details allegedly started emerging. Reports suggest court filings showed Floyd was supposed to receive certain back-end percentages from international broadcast arrangements that never actually arrived in his accounts. Legal analysts who reviewed the situation noted that if Floyd can prove money was diverted,